evening and welcome to the delayed March 14th Board of Selectmen's meeting. We all rise with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And again, welcome for those of you that are here and those of you that may be tuning in, maybe finding us on a different night than what you're used to. So, apologize for that, but Old Man Winter seems to have dictated what we were doing on Tuesday, and it wasn't meeting here. So, all right, we don't have any public hearings. Any announcements? The announcement I saw that kind of affected local folks is I see Pauline Morrow passed away.
Oh, she did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our certainly our
87, I think.
Our thoughts go out to the family. Long time resident of the town and cook at the high school and whatnot.
She was waiting for the town report to come out.
Yeah. Again, thoughts go out with the family there. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? You want to put that on?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Gordon would like to add to the agenda, I guess it would be under new business, possible renaming of the transfer station. Would go under letter I under new business. Is there a motion to do that?
Yes.
Second?
I'll second it.
And moved and seconded to place on the agenda an item under new business, letter I, renaming of the transfer station. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, we'll have that discussion. Okay, back to the front here. We do have an appointment. Any other additions, deletions? I want to skip through that. We do have an appointment. Brad Merrill is here. Step right up, Brad, to the podium there, and
Thank you.
the floor is yours.
I have a minor problem with parking on Pearl Street Extension.
Okay?
This has been ongoing for a number of years. I worked for the gentleman that the problem exists with for a long time. And he told me pretty much that there was nothing I could do about it. But anyway, I don't work for him anymore. I've since retired. And they use the road down there for their personal parking lot, for their help, for any extra trucks, for any extra equipment they have that they just don't have room to put on their own property. It reduces the road to a one-lane road. It restricts access for emergency vehicles and equipment to get down in there. Their own trucks are forced to back up the road or down the road to get in or get out. There's just no room for them to turn around down in there anymore. They walk the tractors, backhoe, loaders, site trucks, whatever they want to do on that road, whether they're registered or not. They load equipment on the low bed wherever they feel like pulling up and stopping and unhooking. The snow plows, they leave them sitting beside the road. That line of trees used to go all the way to my property, but the salt coming out of the back of those trucks have killed all the vegetation from there down. Now they just back them up a little bit further to hide them. You know what I mean? This is gonna be pretty short and sweet. There's a house on the corner, you see it in the background, that nobody lives in anymore. That the shingles are falling off it. It obviously leaks. And they still have power in that facility because they run extension cords to their trucks out there to keep them warm, you know, so it'll start at night. It's kind of a hazard. And they, I mean, it's just, I don't know what the rules are on a driveway, but the driveway is at least 200 feet wide. I mean, I don't know if that's legal or not. And I posted my property, no trespassing. I put up no parking sign, but that don't really mean nothing. They still park in front of my house. They still turn around in my driveway because there's no place else to turn around. I guess, you know, that's pretty much what I got to say, you know, I mean, if there's any questions.
Yeah.
Could you give us a rundown of where these pictures, were any of these pictures taken from your driveway?
See that no posted sign right there by the pole?
Yep.
That is the end of my property. My property runs back towards this way.
Right.
The driveway is right on that corner.
Were any of these pictures taken from your driveway?
That one I'm standing in front of my driveway.
Where it comes into Pearl Street?
Yeah.
That's Pearl Street Extension. Yeah, you're looking back at Pearl Street. See his truck parked way up. That's probably, I think that's Doug's truck parked up there. Right in the road. I mean, they drive in there, they put it in park, they get out, leave the doors wide open, and go do whatever they want to do. That loader, that plow is actually in the road. That whole line of trucks and whatever. That's the end of my property. See the other sign. But it's just, and that guy's parked right in front of my yard.
Your driveway's right in front of that white car, right?
No, back this side.
Just this,
Right
I'm
there where
sitting in
that
my
mirror
car.
Oh,
I'm getting ready to pull into my driveway.
Okay.
So your driveway's that clearing that was on the right-hand side up on that photograph?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, when this all started, I tried to talk to him. You know, and try to, that's my driveway, that truck sitting there.
Yeah.
That telephone pole must be the end of your,
That's the end of the
Property.
road and the end of my property. I abut his land. I go down further, but it has nothing to do with the town road. I mean, I tried to talk to him and make some kind of agreement with him, and it just didn't do any good. That snow plow, those plows, see that crack in the road? That's actually the center line. All these vehicles are halfway in the road.
is this a town road?
Yes, he says it is.
Has it ever been approved for the town as a town road? The only reason I'm asking is, this was a dirt road when I grew up as a kid. And I'm wondering where and how that got paved.
Well,
I've always been told that was a town road.
Let's-
That picture right there, you can't hardly get out through.
On our road glass, we have no Pearl Street extension. It's just Pearl Street.
If you Google Map, put Pearl Street Extension, it comes right out. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to, let's take the, you know, certainly we understand what your plight is here, and let us, I guess, poke at this to determine, okay, number one is it in fact a town road, and what is it that we can or can't do relative to it? You're the only one down in there, right? That lives down in there? You're the last.
Well, his mother and father used to live
Yeah,
in that house, but they both since passed away.
And nobody's in the house now, you said that,
No, it's abandoned.
yeah.
It's a shame he's just letting it fall down. I mean, I've got a ton more pictures, but that's pretty, that end of that trailer, I barely backed out of there this morning.
Okay,
That was taken today.
any other questions of Brian while I was here?
Comment related to this. There was some communication with Mr. Foglio about a formal complaint about illegal junkyard down there. We got a letter back from Mr. Foglio's attorney asking for until September 1 to make the situation better, if you will, or have that amount of time to take care of the problem, if you will. So we've responded back, and at least the first communication from the attorney is positive, and knowing that there's a problem there to be cleaned up before fall.
So let us do some research and figure out what we've got to do and what recourse we have. And then we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, we may have some other issues there. If they're running extension cords out of there to those trucks and that building is dilapidated, maybe we ought to have the code enforcement officer go down and take a look at it, see whether or not that's one of the dangerous buildings, if it fits the criteria. And maybe have the fire department look at it also as a safety concern. Certainly, it's a congested residential area down there, and I would hate to see, you know, a fire start that, you know, we could have avoided by just having an inspection done.
Okay. Guess
Thanks.
Gary's writing there, so. All right.
If this isn't our town road, what is it?
Private road,
Yeah.
Who's responsible for that?
the owners.
And who is the owner?
The owners of each side if they go to the middle of the road, but we've got a little bit of homework to do to see exactly when it was accepted, if it was accepted.
That's why I asked. I wondered if you had a right-of-way to the trailer or if it was off Pearl Street. I'm not questioning, I'm
What-
trying to get it clear in my own mind whether it is or isn't a town road.
Well, we can pull that data. We can pull his deed and take a
The
look.
deed says, it goes around the property and then it gets up to that road and it's calling it Pearl Street Extension, so-called the new road. So I have no idea.
Okay, well, that's even more information.
Let us take a look. Let's see what we can come up with.
Thank you.
Okay.
Notify me by mail or phone.
We'll probably a call, but yeah, we'll follow up.
Could you give Sherry your phone number, please, if she already doesn't have it for tonight? Just in case we need to call you.
Yes, sir.
In unposted roads, are there kind of universal laws as far as parking and obstruction of a way where you have large equipment like that? Are there any statewide laws on that?
I'm not sure where it's a municipal road. I'm not sure. We have a parking ordinance, right? So if we're gonna enact something that restricts parking, we'd have to do it through our
To our
ordinance.
own,
But I think the preamble of that ordinance probably talks about blocking roads and, no, we'll have to pull all that
Right
stuff out and
ways
take
and
a.
that's what I'm saying.
Right, right.
Some state
Access.
laws, yeah.
The state has a statute under Title 29A, the motor vehicle laws, about obstructing a public way. So it doesn't say it has to be a public road, just a public way
Right, right.
that the public has reasonable access to. And it seems as though that's been utilized for years, swinging down there, so I'm sure the public would have access to it.
It all depends on the status of the road.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's,
Completely.
the biggest thing is the status of the road, whether it's who owns the right of way, if it's a right of way.
I mean, it's a
Got the
dead
right-
end road,
yeah.
I mean, there's no access from, and you got one way in and one way out.
Okay.
More of a
let's-
safety
It's,
issue.
it's
let us-
more
Right.
like these camp roads, who owns it, or
Right.
who, whether the town's got rights to it, or
I got the
Thank you very
same.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on here. Regular run of the agenda. Public comments, anybody that would like to say something that isn't on the agenda? Sensing none, we'll move into, we do have a list of correspondence, treasury reports, motor vehicle and excise tax reports for the month. The Daring Ridge ATV survey that Tim ran as we move forward for a look at possible ordinance there. Correspondence from the Town of Hollis concerning mutual aid. Correspondence from York County Sheriff's Office concerning rescue billing for inmates, which I think doesn't affect us, but it affects what we pay in taxes, I guess. Senator Woodsome's newsletter and Representative Prescott's newsletters. If anybody would like to get a copy of any of those correspondence, they're more than welcome to come in and talk to Sherry, and she will do whatever the appropriate thing is here. Reports of staff initiatives, selectmen's reports. Gordon, anything?
No, I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
John, anything from?
well,
outside?
Monday night I went to the Recreation Committee meeting. This is the first time with Todd overseeing the department, and it was well done, and there was I think, they're very concerned about keeping the services and looking at new services, so it was a good meeting.
Tim?
On the 10-town meeting, our next meeting, this should be pretty interesting, is going to be about aging in place. We're going to have a guest speaker from Angus King's staff in Maine, and that promises to be pretty interesting. That's April 10th, 6:30 here. Like I said, there'll be some guest speakers. Thank you.
Okay. Dwayne, anything?
no.
I have nothing. Gary?
I'm going to be brief. I didn't even type it up. First of all, a big thank you to the Budget Committee. They're not done yet. They still have joint meetings and a little bit more work to do with you folks. But I want to thank them for sticking to it. And between weather and parental issues and everything else, we had 8 formal meetings. And the recommendations before you tonight that we'll talk a little bit later in the agenda here are their budget recommendations to you folks. And the only other thing to report was what Dwayne brought up at the last meeting, and I did get a hold of DOT that I guess we have some more homework to do about the exact status of Old Alfred Road, but the statute reads, MDOT has sole jurisdiction over the restriction of commercial vehicles on state road. I guess the thing we really don't know is that officially or unofficially a state aid road, or do we have everything on it? So.
It is not a state aid road.
But we know that evidently, I've been told that they said that major paving and reconstruction would be done by them in the future, and it's not on our dime. So how that fits into the mix here, I'm not sure. If it's not on the state aid list that DOT has, then I guess we would have free rein.
Route 5 202 are state and federal roads.
Well,
West Road, Townhouse Road, and Goodwin's Mills Road are your only
but
state
old
aid roads.
Old Alfred Road was a state road,
Right,
and because of the urban impact laws, when we went over 6,500 people, or 6,800 people, I think, then we were obligated to take over the year-round maintenance of those, that's the urban impact zone, right?
Yeah.
Rather than do what they did years ago and have a short stretch on 202 and 4 and 5 and then another short stretch, they chose to assign us the Old Alfred Road. And I don't remember the fellow's name, it's too long ago for my memory, but he did stand here and say that we have the year-round maintenance of the road, but the design and the ownership of the road is still the state. But that's some guy just telling us that, oh, by the way, you're going to take over this piece of road. So I'm not sure that, but we ought to find that out, or we need to find that out. But I'd like to see, to go along with that, and maybe just touch base with Roger and I don't know who's running the road review committee now, but somebody to put out, as soon as the weather improves here, put out the traffic counters and look at the amount of heavy trucks on this road and that road, so that we at least can talk with some level of knowledge of how many are going across there in a
it'd be
24-hour period.
interesting to see how many's going across from 8 to 8 or something,
Right,
8
yeah.
to 6 or
So
something
that would give
like
us a whole
that.
picture. That'll tell us what time, how many, how fast, all that
Yeah.
stuff. So. And I don't know who's got control of the counters. I think they're up in the.
Yeah, they have
Office now.
3, I think.
Yep.
3 or more.
All right. Anything else on Gary's report?
That's from me, yeah.
You have anything else, Gary?
No.
Okay. And moving into new business, discuss the vote to accept the petition regarding the elimination of town meeting. Guess we have to formally accept that
Yes.
petition, which we collected signatures on. So what is your pleasure? And there was 1,038 verified signatures submitted on the 2nd of,
So moved that we accept the petition to eliminate the town meeting.
I'll second that.
all right, any discussion?
I think at this point, we need to put this to the voters to decide whether we're gonna continue with town meeting or
Right.
go to a
I would agree.
ballot.
All right. Any other discussion? Sensing none, all those in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
What were you, Gordon?
Yeah.
Up?
4, yeah.
5-0.
Okay, and that only starts this initiative now. There will be a referendum question this town meeting to,
Count election, June 13th.
yes, I'm sorry. In conjunction with the town meeting, in the June election, we will have the referendum vote with regards to this.
I think also in the paper, what we need to do is have some, maybe it's opinions, but so to enlighten people about what the issues are, as seen by several different people.
Yeah, we'll get that on the agenda
Yeah,
to
okay.
talk about it in a minute here, okay?
Yeah. Because I'm sure one of the questions is going to be, well, what alternatives have we explored? Or
I think, well, we can talk about that when we get to old business. All right, discuss the vote, approve, and sign municipal quitclaim deed. There are a number here, I don't know how you want to handle it, but tax map 038, lot 038, same tax map, lot 039, tax map 047, lot 112, tax map 055, lot 020, and tax map 003, lot 046-001. These are all properties that...
38 and 39, is that the same owner? Are these people all the same owner?
No, the B and C are the same owner. The other three, D, E, and F, are different parties. They're all for the years 2014 to 2016. So there's similarities there.
These are all something that people have come in and paid their back taxes on these lots.
My understanding is they've paid everything.
Okay, but I mean,
Lien fees
it's
and
lien fees and all of that.
back taxes and
All we're doing
fees.
is signing off the lien is
That's
what
right.
this amounts to.
Julie's here. If you have any questions of her, she prepared these.
Okay? What's your
Just so
pleasure?
I'm clear on that, they're retaining ownership of their own property. It's not,
Yes.
this isn't being sold.
The town, right, the town obtained ownership through matured tax liens, and they have now paid off the tax liens and the overdue taxes that caused the...
Right. Is it going to help you if B and C, which is the same owner, and then we go down through and vote on each lot so that you can release the liens or the liens?
Whichever is easiest for you folks, it doesn't, that
As
As long as you get a record that they've all been
been.
approved, right?
Right. As long as they're all approved and you folks sign them and then
So-
they go to registry.
Okay.
What's your
We've
pleasure?
got them to
I
sign.
How
make
do
a
you want it?
motion that we approve the quick claim deeds as outlined in B, C, D, E, and F.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept those quitclaim deeds depicted in the new business B, C, D, E, and F. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5. All right, item G, budget update and scheduled budget workshops. I guess I will call on Gary.
Yep, you're right with you.
What hitting those lights, Gordon, right there?
This is the first time you've seen the finished product from the Budget Committee, and they truly are done their initial round here, except for the assessor salary line. They waited since I hadn't heard back from the candidate that I extended an offer to, but they did say that in the assessor description, they thought it should stay as a 3-day contract agreement. What you have before you is a 3-page memo in the yellow color. That is somewhere, there you go. And we'll do as little of this or as much as you want to tonight. It was not my intention to get down through this. This is my typical memo that starts on page 1 and goes all the way to the end and gives you details on the pluses and minuses of the budget document. I'm speaking mostly about the Budget Committee recommendation column. Column D is in David in the Excel document. There was one thing I wanted to do to bring out because it was such a significant reduction from my budget list. Remember, staff didn't have any strong direction from the board on increases or decreases, so my budget this year was more of a list of ideas that we would then have to prioritize later, and that's fine, we can do that. And I think the Budget Committee did a lot of work in that regard. One of the things they did was to take about $400,000 out of the CIP, and one of the things they were suggesting that you folks consider in the fire station was to take the proposal last year of $2 million, which we all know was defeated, included a large addition by the old Alfred Road, a bay on the old Alfred Road side, another bay over here on Route 5 side, and then this green area, which is an addition. What they're suggesting is say no to those 3 in red and consider the 30 by 68 addition that was part of the proposal, which was the entrance in that graphic right there that we all saw before. There's a lot of detail in here in terms of how that could work, but basically we would take the existing chief and deputy chief's offices, make those 4 small sleeping rooms. The gym would not be built. That meeting room would stay the same. Any equipment would go upstairs. Any extra sleeping over 4 bodies would go upstairs. We would create a proper decontamination area right in here in the existing area. Mike Frazier would lose his office, and there would be 2 small showers right here. And out in here, we would have the chief, deputy chief, Lieutenant Frazier, probably the police officer, Laura Fish, and one meeting room right up in here that down the road could be 2 offices. This idea, and let's be fair, that's all it is, it's an idea for your consideration, we think could be done not to exceed $750,000. If you take $225 a square foot for that addition right there, it comes out to about $470. And we think you could definitely do it for $750 if you don't have the $100,000 water line extension included. If the bids came in such, maybe you could include that extension, but either way, you could build that addition and fix the real pressing problems that we brought to bear last fall for less than $750,000. You could stub that 12-inch line out into the woods, and then years later, you could bring that 12-inch line into there, have it for truck filling as well as possible sprinkler system down the road. I don't think it's proper to get into the details of this because you haven't even seen this memo, you haven't even seen this budget document. I'm happy to answer any questions or go as far as you want with this tonight. It's not my intention to spend the next better part of an hour doing that, and I thought you needed some time to take this home and look at it first.
Yeah, my suggestion is we take a look at that. I know that, and I think you sent out the note relative to at least somebody rendering what the rearrangement of space would be
I have those for you.
inside and whatnot. And
Yep.
the last that we met with the group, I think we talked about, we weren't gonna go back to the voters with a big number.
Right.
And then, we batted around, a portable building, there's all kinds of things there, but I think net, the money probably comes up into the same arena, but we'll have that discussion as one of our budget sessions, I would believe. John?
Can we have a timeline on making a decision here? Here's when we want to have the decision, when the vote for the selectmen come up to on this item, and then back it off is to the information that we need. So I'd like to see us make a decision on this in a timely fashion so that people out there can get a lot of information.
Yeah, I think that's the intent tonight, that we, there's kind of the introduction of the budget. This is the first time that we've been able to wrap our hands around a little bit in scheduling of the budget workshop. So we need to back into that number, all right? So the absolute drop dead is when?
April 17th, so actually you should say Friday, April 14th is when you should be completely done.
Okay.
And I'm recommending we go every Tuesday, Thursday, but you're available until we're done.
So that's the proposal on the floor, is that with a drop dead date of April 14th, and we meet Tuesdays, off Tuesdays, right, and Thursdays, with budget workshops and the budget committee and Gary, and we have to have the department heads, we could pull one of them in if we needed them, and we'll go through the exercise then.
It's always good not to go to the drop dead
Right.
So it'd be good to have that taken care of a week or 2 weeks before that anyway.
Well, remember, for the month after April 17th, for that month, you can do something in a change to the warrant if it's a unanimous vote.
Yeah,
That's 60 days out, and I'd rather stay away from that
Yeah.
completely. So.
I agree.
So it gives us a 30-day cushion,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I think it gives us an opportunity to go back to the budget committee with any decisions that we have, so that everybody's on the same page.
Right.
And we don't get into, well, we woulda, coulda, shoulda, right?
Is it anticipated that Senator King will use this room here on the 10th?
It won't be Senator King, it'll be someone from his staff.
No, but that's when that presentation is going to take place
I
on the
believe
10th?
that's on a Monday.
Huh?
It's on a Monday.
I don't know, I just had it on here, it looked like on a Tuesday.
Yeah, 10-town group meets on a Monday night, second Monday of the month.
Yeah, Monday night at 6:30.
I don't know what year it was.
I don't know what the rest of the board is, but at this point, unless it's storming, I can be here by 4:30, so if that works for the rest of the board, in a couple, 3 meetings, we may want some more information, but
I was looking at,
when a couple hours,
Great.
3 hours.
What do you want to, how early do you want to start, I guess is the question.
You got some resistance on budget committee, one or more of them work. 6 o'clock was pushing it for them in terms of,
Okay.
Okay.
as a group.
We could still meet and then just have a later meeting with them. We could meet
Yeah, we
earlier.
could plow through some stuff, and then they could join us at 6 or 6:30,
Yes?
right?
Yep.
So if we do it at 5,
I'm
it
flexible.
gives
anything.
everybody,
Yeah.
so why don't we schedule, so it would start Tuesday, 21st. And then we would go the 23rd. The 28th is our regular meeting, so I would suggest that we would not meet that night, but we would meet the 27th, I'm sorry, the 30th.
30th.
And then it would give us the 4th, the 6th, the 11th is our regular meeting, and then we'd finish up really on the 13th. Right?
If we still need that, I would
Right.
hope we're
Yeah,
done long before.
I would hope we're done before the
Yeah.
2.
And the same thing on a Tuesday night before our meeting. I mean, if we wanted to
Yeah, if we get to that point, then
point, I
we'll
mean,
we'll
if we
use
get
one of
an
our
hour
meetings.
or an hour and a half, we could meet.
You know, I envisioned you would probably want fire, public works, maybe rec in here since there are some significant changes at play in those 3, but you just have to tell me when you want those folks in.
Okay.
Why don't we meet with the finance committee first, and then if
Right. So
they've
if-
probably already met with them, but,
They have.
yeah.
So Tuesday night, we'll get in here at 5. I think we can go over maybe a good broad brush of just, hey, this is where everything is. Budget committee shows up at 6:30, and maybe then we start attacking some.
The rumor that's out there, coming from finance, school board members, the state has cut 1-point-something million out of said 57 state allotment of money. So that's gonna come back to the taxpayers. And that may be something that we want to see in concrete, but
Well, I'm going to and you folks are invited to because it's a meeting for all the selectmen. Next Wednesday, the 22nd, in this room at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the the superintendent's meeting with the 6 town selectmen are starting. And they'll have several of those through the budget process like they did before.
April what?
March
March
22nd.
22nd.
I'm in the wrong month.
March 22nd, Wednesday, 4 o'clock in this room. Alfred was too small with the crowds they had in the past 2 years, so they asked for us to host it, and I certainly happy to do that. And I would hope we have a little more clarity on that. How long ago did you hear that number? Within the last week?
I heard it at the coffee shop this morning, and I've also heard it from one of the board members. I heard it over in Newfield this morning,
Yeah.
and
A week and a half ago, the business manager didn't know the extent of that number. Hopefully next Wednesday they'll
I
have.
had heard 2 million in the beginning, and I heard 1 point, I think it was 1.2 this morning that came out of the meeting last night.
Well, hopefully by the end of next Wednesday, we'll have a little more clarity on that, because I have nothing to put in the budget right now, so it's just municipal only on the last
So
page.
just so everybody, right, just to hang a number on that, we own 33% of that.
I was wondering when, I figured 50%.
We own 33% of that number.
Okay.
So,
So are we planning budget meetings Tuesdays and Thursday nights for the next 4
yes,
weeks?
unless we have a meeting,
Yeah,
and then we're gonna have our meeting, and then,
and at 5 o'clock, Tuesdays and
That's not
Thursdays?
right.
Okay.
the increase of said 57 itself is,
On top of that.
yeah.
So it's, we own 33%.
That does not
change.
include anything that they go up.
Right,
As far
that's right.
as
I mean, if budget stayed the same and they had to replace
Yeah.
that 1.2 million, you own 400,000, we own 400,000, which is 60 cents.
53. Stay tuned.
Yeah. We're getting to the point where municipal services are gonna be adversely affected because of the growth of the demand of the RSU. But hey, maybe, you know, they cut back 1.2 million. The state must have some plan for reimbursing municipalities.
It's price per child, I guess.
Huh?
It's what?
What I heard this morning is price per child, and everybody has been cut back, and it's statewide.
Okay, well, stay tuned. All right, let's move on from budget for a minute and talk about weed.
Low to high.
Did you cut that first bank of lights there, please, Sheriff? Or Gordon? Not too long ago, Selectman Neal and myself and Lee J. Feldman, the town planner, went to a very good presentation by Drummond and Woodsome attorneys. And the PowerPoint was so good, so many people are asking for it, that it's publicly available now on the MMA website. We cut it up a bit and removed a fair amount of content, and we've whittled it down to just more of a general overview for you folks tonight as an FYI on marijuana. So Lee J's here tonight for two things, really. He's going to take over partway through the presentation here and talk about the zoning aspects of this, land use, etc., and then also help us talk about TIFs right after this. So I'm going to kick it off and go ahead and get up the first slide, please, David. This is an overview. These 7 slides here. There's 7 different sections of what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to read to you all the text. I think that's incredibly boring. So we'll fairly quickly go down through these. But these are the 7 items that we have tonight. We can get this presentation emailed to anyone. And we also, I guess we don't have any extra copies of it tonight, but we can certainly make them. Next one, please, Dave. 29 states now with medical marijuana, and obviously we are one of them. There are 8 states with full recreational use: Colorado, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, California, Massachusetts, Nebraska, and now Maine. And the entire New England states have medical marijuana, with 14 states decriminalizing it. Next one. However, the federal government still has this as a Schedule I drug, and we just do not know what the Trump administration is going to do to change, if anything, on whether or not the possession, the growing, etc., and selling it is still going to be a felony. Certainly, it seems as though the Trump administration is more of a states' rights administration, but we just don't know. I was listening to Attorney General Sessions the other day, and he said, you know, he doesn't like the aspect of marijuana on every corner, but then he didn't come right out and say what we're going to do or not do. So it's continuing to be unclear. Next one, please. What's the market like? This information is a little dated. There's no 2017 data here, but for the 2015 medical marijuana market, $40 million. You can see it went up by about 25% to last year. But the real value is in the recreational market, which is at least as much, if not more, than the worth of potatoes to the state of Maine in terms of sales. And somewhere around 12% of the population would be using it. And I think that's both recreational and medical usage. Next, please. As I said before, it's still a felony under federal law to possess, produce, process, and we need some more direction in that regard. And we have no idea when we're going to get it. We know that the state has put a moratorium in terms of what they're going to do and not do that goes to February of 2018. Next, please.
Isn't the state's moratorium centered around what they're gonna do in terms of regulations for
Commercial
like
uses.
pot bars and
Yes.
things like that?
You need a license from the state, but that state license also needs to include a local permission. And they don't even have their processes or their forms or anything ready. So what we've been telling, I fielded 2 calls. Lee J probably works for other towns, he's probably fielded others. We don't have regulation now, but if you as a Board of Selectmen want to say to the community that you're ready to either prohibit or to permit and regulate, Lee J can get to work on that. The prohibition he could probably do in 5 minutes in terms of the ordinance language that would be required. It's very short and sweet, that you would not allow those commercial uses at all. That's easy to do. Permitting it and regulating it is a whole different kettle of fish. But look at the bottom one here. This is the one that, if you want to become a medical marijuana user, these 4 little bullet points here, certainly most of them would be the bottom bullet point there. Really nebulous, and anybody could get a medical marijuana certificate if they need it. I mean, these other things are serious. My wife's a nurse, and she's seen wonderful things happen for, with THC usage for teenagers and tremors and other such things. There is a medical aspect of it, no question about it. The question is, how far do you want to go in terms of social use and recreational in the commercial aspect? Next, please, David. So here's how you can get it. If you want to use it medically, you can grow it yourself. There are only 8 dispensaries statewide, and you'd have to buy from one of them or from primary caregivers, and this is the way most people get their medical marijuana. There's over 3,000 of them in Maine, serving over 10,000 patients. And we go to the next slide, please. This first one is interesting. You can have up to 5 qualifying patients. Well, let's say that all 5 of those people come to your place today, and different people can come tomorrow. They don't define what a qualifying patient really is and narrow it down. So that's something that's lacking in the existing definition of the medical marijuana statutes. Pretty restrictive in terms of how many mature plants you can have and how it can be grown, what you have to have for public protections for odor, lighting, et cetera, et cetera. And you can have a variety of other plants in various stages of growth, in addition to those 6 mature plants, again, for each qualifying patient. Go ahead, David. Now, has this changed the regulation?
No.
Medical
For
marijuana
medical
is-
marijuana, it's regulated under DHHS for,
But the other is going to be in,
it was originally assigned to DACF, Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, and they're talking about relocating that to,
Games and beverages.
Yes.
I forget the
lot-
acronym.
yes,
Liquor enforcement.
lottery police, et cetera, right? 2 different issues there.
yeah.
Next slide, please. So we know that possession for 21 years and older has started as of the end of January. We also know that the state is taking the rest of this year and maybe a couple of months of next year in terms of getting their regulation and licensing processes down. We also know in the law that it's going to require a legal sign-off, a local sign-off, local permission to be able to do this. So towns do have the right to either allow and regulate or to prohibit these activities. And you've heard me speak about that before. I mean, it did pass in this town, but you folks, since you create ordinances, we could have public hearings, public meetings, get input from the community, and then you folks could make a decision, yay or nay, as to whether or not you wanted to allow or prohibit.
I'm under the understanding, though, that's a growing facility, not, you can still have 6 plants, personal use anywhere.
It doesn't
in town.
affect personal use at all.
Right.
That's correct.
So, no matter where you are in town, at this point, a man or a lady can have 6 matured plants and there's nothing that anybody here in town can stop.
Yep, that's a good point. The comments I just made about the prohibition, about the commercial use, and go to the next slide, that may help if that's, can't remember if that's the one. Here we go. Personal use is not in question, I guess you would say. But the license classes here are actually growing of it, turning it into edibles, an actual testing business for the THC content, and then outright retail sales in the social clubs. But you see there that you cannot serve alcohol in a social club if you're going to have a marijuana social club. I don't know if that means restaurants can't do it if they have a separate room, but it certainly doesn't indicate that they could at this point in time. This 30-page bill is so poorly written. That's part of the reason the legislature is going to take the next year. And I think there were 40 bills that came out of the hopper, and there were a total of 60 bills that were introduced. And they formed a separate committee just for these 40 to 60 marijuana bills to hear them and move forward. And they're probably going to need all of this year to do that. Next one, please. Some of these things we already talked about, some that I just mentioned, in fact, all three of them, I guess, so next one. And Lee J's going to take over from here. He can talk about land use permissions and some of the aspects of the growing. It's pretty high tech.
Yeah, well, it seems like I'll be the growing expert from what we see. I think it's important to understand that statewide, the state is only going to license up to 800,000 square feet of canopy, is what they're calling it, because of the plant growth canopy. That doesn't mean there won't be probably 1 million square feet of building footprint, but 800,000 square feet of canopy will be licensed statewide. That could change in the future. Their intent is to try and allow enough marijuana to be grown and sold so that it drives the price down, so that it drives the black market down. In doing that, what you're going to find is growing today is not in your backyard, back 40, and having plants to grow to sell. That's just not what this market's about. These photos are from Colorado, from an existing facility. It's very high tech. What you see here are the female plants that are beginning to be, they don't grow from seed. Seed is illegal to be able to move around from place to place. So they have plants that are continuously growing and reseeding in their facility, so they're not bringing in seed from outside. Go ahead, David. This is an actual mature plant part of their facility. They are climate controlled, they are CO2 controlled, they are very susceptible to mold issues, so their facilities are very high tech. They're not, again, not backyard facilities, because this is precious gold to them as a grower, as someone that is trying to cultivate and sell their product, and they want the best product they can to have out on the open market. So these are not fly-by-night operations. They're very high-tech. Go ahead, David. These are, again, another stage of the facility where these are full bloom. And you'll see a photo that'll come up. I think it might be the next one, but those are budding. And what they do is they take those buds off, and then they have people that they pay. In Colorado, I think they said $12 to $15 an hour that sit and trim those buds so that they're a perfect flower for them to be able to sell. And you'll see packaged marijuana in a retail facility there. Also notice, again, the high-techness of their operation. The employees in the background are fully masked and fully head-dressed and clean suits. They're very sensitive to how their facilities are grown. Go ahead, David. This is a drying area, so once they take the buds off before they do the trimming, they take the plants and they have a full drying area. I'm not sure of the content of this full picture. It doesn't look like a big area, but they have to dry the plant before they go ahead and prepare it for sale. Go ahead. Here we go. So it's somewhat of an intense, depending on the size of the facilities that will be developed here in Maine. They're somewhat high in labor because you don't only have people that are out on the growing floor paying attention to that, but these are the people that are getting paid $12 $12 to $15 an hour to just sit and trim buds all day and prepare them for retail sale. Go ahead. As I mentioned, CO2 is used in the process. It basically is a negative aeration to keep negative air in the growing areas, but they also use butane, and I could not gather why, but butane is a very high-end use in preparation for their final product. So this is fairly high hazard type of operation as well, from a building construction standpoint, and being able to have these types of chemicals and other things in the area to be able to help their operation.
That was a concentrator, wasn't it?
Yes.
For making THC for edibles.
Yes, that's where. Thank you.
Medicine.
Right. Yes. Go ahead, David. So under local control, the Act does give the municipalities considerable local control. So there are the five, there's a number of things to do. First of all, you have the manufacturing, you have the testing, you have the processing, sales, and the
Social clubs.
social clubs. Thank you. You can have any of those. You don't have to include them all, or you can have none of them. They are calling them at this time, if you want none of them, basically a dry town, just as if it were not allowing alcohol in the community. As Gary said, if you wanted to have a dry town, I've actually prepared wording for another community that I work in that has chosen to be, at least put it on their ballot to be a dry town. And it took me 5 minutes to just basically say that the manufacturing, processing, sales of retail part, blah, 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 is prohibited in the town within the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Therefore, it's not allowed in any zone in any way from that standpoint.
We are going to have a referendum.
Yes.
We don't have time to write up the zoning, but we've got time right now to decide, let the townspeople decide whether they want a dry town,
Correct.
or if we need to proceed with new zoning and where we're going to allow it, and where we're not going to allow it, and what we're going to allow.
Correct.
So this is something that probably ought to be put on to Selectmen's agenda in a couple of weeks, to whether we want to put that to referendum. And with what went through here in town, there's probably no question that it's going to pass, that we don't want a dry town. So I guess it's time for the Selectmen to decide whether we want to make that decision or let the townspeople make it, and then proceed with zoning to allow it.
The dilemma is you're gonna have, we certainly, whatever we do for an ordinance, you're gonna go through that process as a public hearing and
Right.
to be able to get that information. The quickest way to find out one way or the other is to put the referendum, do you want to have a dry town law?
Correct. Yes.
And if that comes back no, then you have more work to do.
A lot more work, actually,
Yeah.
because there's a number of things that can happen that's listed here, and it even gets more involved in that. You have the ability to limit the number of licenses. For example, if you're going to allow retail, you can indicate that you're only going to allow one retail facility in town. Or you could say that you're going to allow 3 or 4. We could get into the same thing that exists currently with the sale of illicit drugs around schools. You can set a buffer that you can't be located within 1,000 feet of a school or 500 feet of school, whatever you want to set for limits, unless the law changes that's in front of the legislature now. In limiting the number of licenses, we can actually develop a process. This is according to Drummond and Woodsome, who's been living this. We can actually develop a RFP process and go out to bid and have the people that want to operate bid on the ability to sell here or have a social club here. And it may include not only the fact that they will be paying property taxes, but there may be host fees that they would need to pay to the community to be here. There's a number of things that could be established through that RFP process if you chose to go that route as well. plus local yearly licensing fees.
Is there a link? I should say, or is there a proposal at the state level? I'm sure out of those 50 laws or bills that have been drawn up, there's probably everything under the sun. But is there a prohibition in other states? You can't be a grower and a seller?
No. Here in Maine, you can be a grower and a seller, but the retail facility cannot be at the grow facility.
Okay, so it has to be a separate entity?
Yes.
Or a separate facility?
Correct. One of the things that the state has indicated is there's a state licensing fee. And, I think there's been discussions and maybe rumors floating around that, there's sales tax that the towns are going to get from this. There isn't. In fact, they said that the licensing fees that go to the state are very low. But the towns will get half of those fees, but they said it doesn't amount to anything. So therefore, if you do choose to allow something, if you go to an RFP process, you can seek someone that's willing to pay the hosting fees, or we can also create other licensing fees at the local level for
We don't have
license.
to define where or whereabouts. If an RFP came up, it would say, we're going to have one or
Correct.
whatever. Tell us where it's going to be, what the facility's going to look like, those kind of things, or?
You can do it that way. I think it might be wiser for the community, if it is to move forward, to actually establish those ground rules first. So then if someone's coming to town and wants to put in a proposal, they know the general areas that they
Yeah.
can look.
I think, you're going to have some wide flexibility there.
Sure.
The one thing that I would recommend is not in any subdivision.
Oh, sure. I think you want to limit them to...
Limit it out of
if it,
residential.
oh, absolutely.
And we're gonna, my thought the other night, and I mentioned it, was follow our gravel pit ordinance. Setbacks will almost match the growing facilities, the marijuana and the gravel pit setbacks will work together.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a number of things.
Follow that ordinance.
Yeah.
That gives you a lot of boundaries.
There's a number of performance standards that we can build into this. Where the retail sales would be located, how far from schools, how far from churches.
They have power requirements too. They can't just go anyplace.
The
They can't go on
growers.
120.
Right, the growers
It's
need
massive electricity.
three-phase power.
Three-phase.
That, just for the general public listening, an acre hothouse is one heck of a big hothouse. That's 100 by 4,
Right.
and that's what the state's saying is they'd be 160 1-acre hothouses.
That's one way to look at it. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
to break it
You have
down.
to have ample water supply.
How big is the place that grows tomatoes up there in?
Backyard farm.
20 acres?
Yeah, it's about
20?
20 acres. Yeah.
The one up
So this
in
could be
Thetford,
how many
Vermont,
times bigger than that? What was the number again?
8 times?
800,000.
So it could be 8 times bigger than?
Statewide.
Yes, statewide.
Holy-
No,
Statewide.
800,000 square feet.
Oh,
Square feet. Yes.
not acres.
No,
No.
square feet, which is 20 acres.
20 acres.
20 acres, plus or minus.
I see this, and it brings to mind the internal security has got to be incredible for growing facilities and processing facilities. Then the question comes up is, does it affect local police protection? So are they dependent when you okay, if you okay a facility, it's the internal, their internal police or whatever they...
Right, security, yes.
Security, that probably has got to be stated pretty closely as to,
Absolutely.
because you don't want to put a lot of emphasis on local police.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they talked a little bit about that. I mean, these facilities are fenced, barbed wired, cambered. There's very high security around them. They're not, again, these aren't, as you saw from the facility pictures, they're not fly-by-night type of operations.
How many are owned by tobacco companies?
I have no idea.
We don't
That's
know
an
yet.
interesting
They haven't
question.
been built yet.
Yeah, but in other states.
In other states.
My guess is they probably don't say this is, you know,
Well, and the interesting thing about, I mean, it's an interesting question as to who the growers might be, simply because where it still is a class 1 drug. I understand now there's, somebody mentioned one credit union in Maine that is willing to finance. Otherwise, no banks are allowed to
that's right,
finance
because
these
of the-
things. You got to pay in cash.
And they cannot handle the receipts also.
That's correct.
Right.
Right.
That's
They can't
correct.
know what they're handling.
It's considered money laundering if you
right,
do.
right,
I
right.
think another thing that people don't realize is that they can only sell marijuana that's grown in Maine. So it's kind of a self-contained industry. So yeah,
They
maybe
can't
some
ship
out,
it. Correct.
maybe some out-of-stater might have a piece of the
Yeah,
business,
can't.
but it can only be grown and sold in the state of
So
Maine.
there's commerce laws that prevent it from
Absolutely.
going.
Yes.
Is this either a yay or nay? If you vote to have a dry town, that means you can't have any of the other things?
Right.
Just personal
if,
use.
If you vote for a dry town, I would say yes,
It
unless
closes,
the
it closes
word.
all the other doors for a revenue stream.
Well, I
Right.
think I think that's up to you folks, but you could word it to, probably ask. I'm looking at Gary because this is really his call, but to ask the voters if they want manufacturing allowed, if they want retail sales allowed,
Yeah,
if
we
they
could
want
have a
social
multiple
clubs allowed.
choice
Yeah.
referendum.
5 questions on it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a.
So it's not either or.
No. The
Okay,
either
you
would
can
be
pick
dry
and-
town,
you can
completely
pick and
dry.
choose.
Yes.
Well, if the prohibition, if you had a vote on prohibition, you become a dry town, then you shut everything off.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or you
And
can
then,
mix and match, if you will,
and
allow
then, just like changing the town meeting, somebody can come in with a petition and go get 1,000 signatures that they want to change that. There's ways in the charter to change that.
Oh, sure.
Well, it's the same as if we run public hearings and everything else, and we decide between the 5 of us, we're gonna have a dry town, that can be challenged through a
Yeah.
referendum. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's any of that stuff. So, I mean, it could go the other way too. If you vote that we're gonna have some facilities, somebody could come in with a referendum and say, no, we're gonna
Have a dry.
fight them.
So I think the bottom line with local regulations basically is that the easy one is if people here choose to be dry, that's 5 minutes of drafting the ordinance, in the zoning ordinance. If you choose to have some portion of or all of those 5 opportunities that come with this, then I think there's a lot of work to do in writing an ordinance and in drafting it the way it's gonna work, but it's also gonna be safe in the community. Drafting it in a way that if we choose to have a limited number of licenses, that maybe we do have an RFP process for requiring people to bid on their opportunity to locate here. I think there's lots of discussion that will need to be had in background if we choose to go forward with it.
It's really so interesting because the state controls the sale of liquor. Not only do they control the sale of it, they own the distribution process, right?
Correct.
And every store around is now an agency liquor store, right?
Yeah.
But now, when we're gonna, and I'm not pro or against this either way. All I'm saying is that right out of the box they're saying, oh no, we're gonna limit the amount of stores. But they
Once they realize there's money coming in, it's gonna go the other way, just like.
well, if
they did the liquor
they ought to tax it like they tax cigarettes.
Well, let's talk about
Somebody.
that. The proposed tax in the 30 pages was 10% for state tax.
The
State tax.
lowest in the country.
And
Yes.
the communities, that's why I'm not in favor of this. I'm all in favor of a dry town because we get almost nothing out of this. A little bit of property tax maybe for a grow facility and some personal property taxes.
Right.
But in terms of what that is offset by the negatives, I just don't find it to be in balance at all. So
Right.
that's my personal view.
So let's put it on the next agenda, and we'll have a discussion of should we, because we have time to run a referendum question at town meet at the June 14th meeting. Right.
And-
we're 90 days out.
And this presentation's not done, so I think
Okay.
the next
Sorry.
slide bounces back to
Almost
Gary.
done.
but- Go ahead, David. Yeah, this one bounces back to Gary.
It's kind of obvious, we were talking about a drug policy before in terms of marijuana. There's just more. We left that workshop, I don't know how Tim and Lee J felt, I left there with more questions than answers that day. It's a great presentation, but all these things are in play here in terms of a drug policy that we may or may not have.
Yeah, but that's just a.
I just
People
had-
can't come to work under the influence today, right?
Correct.
It isn't going to change, and I think that's the message, right? Is because because this vote happened doesn't mean that you have license, no more than you do if you're inviting in adult beverages.
From what I understand, what I gather, I mean, I think the issue becomes someone may not come to work impaired from smoking, but if you pull them out for a random test, they may have smoked on the weekend, and the THC and whatnot stays in your system up to 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very difficult to prove that you smoked this morning and you came impaired to work. So therefore,
Yeah.
because you may have smoked 3 days ago, and it may still be in your system, you know, I think they're still struggling with that at the state level as to how to deal with
Yeah,
that.
there's no impairment level that's accepted, I guess, across state lines in terms of driving, so there's just way too many questions, so we need to wrap this up. David, next one, please. Again, no accurate test right now and only a blood test, and one of the attorneys said that day that you need a search warrant if you need to do a blood test, unless maybe an officer has probable cause on the side of the road.
You'd think the testing technology would go first, and then you legalize it, but it's just the opposite.
Next, please, David. So, that's it for that. Yeah. There's a question from the
I
audience.
have a question.
Yeah.
If you were interested in the dry town option, is that a decision that you can make, or do you have to send it to
No, we can,
You could.
we have the ability to institute an ordinance. We would have to have public hearings and all of that on that ordinance and take public comment. I guess we could then just say, no, we're going to implement a dry town. That's challengeable by referendum, right? But I would think that if we have the opportunity, the problem is that if you have public hearings and everything else, you're never going to really know what.
That's
There's
my
going to be a
thought.
handful of people that tell you yes, no, or
You're gonna get 60 people
right.
to a public hearing.
And I don't know if the vote in November was a statement of, you know, I mean, it passed by what, 500?
55, 45, I think.
Right, 55, 45%, but
11%.
it was
55-44.
400 and some odd votes.
Yep, 21.
But I'm not sure if people really understood what they were voting for. I know they were voting for personal use, but if they were given a choice of whether they wanted
Right.
a pot factory.
That's really
in
the
their
the
town.
next question is, right, is that you may have a population that says, yeah, I agree that people ought to be able to consume it.
Decriminalize.
Yeah, they can consume it, da-da-da. It's another thing to say, oh, yeah, we're gonna have a factory down the street that is in
The
this.
sad part is, the sixth plant, that everybody's allowed, can be right in everybody's backyard.
Sure,
And no fence, no nothing around it, so there's no restrictions on the six, which turns into 36
And it could be across the street from the
that
school.
you can
Right.
actually have on your property.
so that's where you have to come up with, is it one, is it
When you get
none,
talking
is it?
housing developments, and they're 100 feet wide, some of these lots, like
Apartment
Arrowhead,
houses.
yeah, I was gonna say apartments, it's a good question, you know.
Do you remember, how do you guys remember them talking about whether the medical grow facility has to be indoors? I thought it just had to be
It had to be
enclosed.
sheltered, it had to be
I
outside.
think it could still be outdoors. Yeah.
It can be outside. The small plants are gonna be outside. They're gonna start them outside, so I got a little bit of greenhouse down here.
All right,
See, I can see the legal community getting involved big time, because you have a person that has a disability that is only treated effectively by use of marijuana, and they lose their job, or they're unable to access work, certain work anyway, with that disability.
Yep.
And then the attorney points out, you've got antidepressants, you've got antipsychotic drugs that are probably as mind-altering as marijuana. So I see this as being there's going to be people who are going to press this.
Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, in going back to certainly my days dealing with the FAA, there are prescription opioids, right, that are gonna, if you get random drug tested, you're gonna hit, all right? But you have the right to say, and go to the medical review officer and say, well, I have a prescription for that. Now, then there might be a decision of, well, as long as you're on that prescription, we don't want you doing this work or driving a truck or whatever case may be. But that's a decision. That doesn't automatically say you're gonna lose your job, because you're allowed to have prescriptive medications, right?
Yeah.
And I would assume that would be the same here. Doesn't mean that you can come in, that you can still physically do that job while you're under that influence, but that's a decision by the medical
They'll probably
profession.
fall
And
under
it'll be a
ADA,
decision by the courts,
Right.
probably.
Have a
More
reasonable
than medical.
accommodation.
All right, we can talk about this forever. Okay,
We're done.
next. Talking about TIF. Oh, no, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Transfer station?
I tried to jump you, didn't I?
I
The,
gotta take a break here.
you gonna take a break? You wanna talk about the transfer station, first, or you wanna take a break?
Go to the men's room.
All right, we'll start that discussion.
Let's do the tip.
We'll come back to Gordon in a minute here, but, let's talk about the TIF financing. Financing district, if you will.
Okay,
I think
well,
everybody's got a picture?
yep, I was not at the last meeting, as you recall, where we looked at the first map. And Gary and I spoke, and I tried to make adjustments in it at this point the best I could for discussion purposes, and to be able to do some analysis for you by carrying it all the way down to an area close to Straw Mill, not to Straw Mill Brook Road. And some of the things that were done, as I looked closer at the properties between, especially between Old Alfred Road and Straw Mill Brook Road, was that there's a lot of wetland in there, a lot of wetland. And that's not going to bring you any value when it comes to the value that you need in your TIF. But what it does is, and I'm going to get to that, a short piece, a one-page piece that I gave you. But what it does do is it eats up a lot of land. And so you got to be really strategic about the size of the TIF area versus the value of land. And the reason I say that, because I'm not sure it was presented to you previously, but it is very confusing, and that's why I put it in writing for you. Each, and it's on this piece of paper that you should have in your packet.
Cover sheet.
Each individual TIF district can be no larger than 2% of the land area and 5% total for all districts developed. So what that means is each TIF district cannot be any larger than 2% of the land area for the whole town, or 5% total, which means let's say you want to develop 3 more TIF districts. Those districts, if you develop this one and it's 1.26, thank you, percent, that doesn't leave you a lot of breathing room for other areas if you want to include large areas of the community in your TIF, because you can only have up to a total of 5% of the land area. And with this TIF in itself will be 1.26%. Conversely, the total valuation of all TIF districts, meaning if you do more than this one TIF district in the future, it can't exceed 5% of the total municipal value. And if you look at this one, we're at 2.9% of the total municipal value with this one TIF. So we're almost at 3%, and we can only get to 5%. Now, that being said, the thing to consider is that any other TIFs that you want to develop down the road, if it's a couple of years away, how can I say this? If it's a couple of years away, the value of the town is still going to continue to grow. So it's going to create, that 5% becomes 7%, simply because the value has grown. But it's always constant at 5%, but you've added how many hundreds of millions of more dollars to the value, or millions of dollars to the value of the town, just because every year the value of the town is going to increase anyway. The other thing to consider is that when you look at TIFs, the more green fields we have, the less of value you start with, which is a positive, because that means that you could have 200 acres of undeveloped land and the parcels are only valued at, $1 million. Versus if you've got buildings on it and you've got, houses or other properties that are developed, the assessed value is much higher. So therefore it shrinks the amount of money or the area that you can TIF because of the assessed value of the property. I know you're looking at me kind of bleary-eyed, Gordon, and it can get very confusing. But it's a balancing act between how big of an area do you want and how much value, current value, is in that area versus what you may want to have available to you in the future.
Possibly North Waterboro.
Possibly North Waterboro.
I can tell you, if you're talking about wetlands, you might as well stop right there at that brook when you're headed down 202, because you've got nothing but wetlands in 44, 46, and...
Well, quite honestly...
I can get down there with a hand shovel and dig water.
Quite honestly, if it were me, and I've had these conversations with Gary and with Chuck Morgan in my office, I wouldn't bring that finger all the way down to Strawmill Brook.
No, but I'm talking... When you leave Hannaford parking lot, south, you've got nothing but wetlands on the right-hand side of that Route 202.
There is some developable land there, but for what you're gaining for value...
As I said, the water table is only down the width of a hand shovel. I can drive you a point anywhere in 8 pieces of pipe.
That driving range is a good example.
Yeah.
Right.
Are these TIFs in competition with each other? I'm wondering, why are they so highly regulated here as far as to valuation and land?
They're not in competition with each other, but the state has limited how much area communities can TIF because there are other advantages to the communities which are not advantages to the state.
Oh, okay.
So they've limited how much you can TIF, because there was a time when the TIF law was very loose, years and years ago, and municipalities were willing to TIF their whole town. And, eventually they said, time out. No, this just doesn't make sense.
North Berwick was one of them.
Just got a couple of questions for
Certainly.
you. First one is, how long are you locked into a TIF once you decide that you want that as a TIF?
Good question. You can have a TIF for 20 years. You can have a TIF for 30 years. You can amend the TIF if something changes within the district or adjacent to the district where you want to add more value. Because I don't know. Let's just say a scenario where Hannaford decides they're going to knock down that building and they want to build a bigger building. And you've got 5 years left on the TIF. You can amend the TIF and go for extend it another 5 years, so now you have 10 years where you can capture that value again because of a bigger, newer building. So there are ways to amend it, but I guess I wouldn't suggest that you're locked in because I see nothing but
Well,
upsides
I'm wondering
for
if you
doing
have,
TIFs.
if you have very close, you were talking about your percentages.
Yes.
And it doesn't leave you much wiggle room if you, like on this one here. But suppose you've got another area that becomes developed.
Yep.
And it's a tip plum,
Yep.
let's call it.
Yep.
We could go back to this one and say, okay, we don't want this whole area. We're going to scale it back, and we're going to add this on now so to keep our percentages the way it should be.
I can't give you an answer on that because I don't know. I've never seen a TIF boundary shrunk once it's been created. So I personally can't give you a direction on that, Gordon, right now. I'd have to look into that.
TIFs don't have to be contiguous with one another.
No.
Do they?
Oh, no. Oh, no. TIFs come in all shapes and sizes. You can have large areas of land. Again, I worked in a community for years. We actually TIFed the footprint of a building because the building had so much value to it.
So as to what Dwayne had to say, we could take and cut out all this water, or this area,
Yes.
this narrow area where it's nothing but low wetlands,
Yep.
and just have the piece down there by Strong Mill Brook Road and the piece up here.
That would be two separate TIFs unless we
Right.
keep it. You could do that. I mean, I know there's some value down Straw Mill Brook area. I don't know it well enough. I know How is certainly down that way. I don't know if that general area is ripe for a second TIF.
You got the new dance studio,
Well,
but
the
there's
Yep.
several lots down through there
Yep.
that aren't very deep.
Right.
There's 200 or 300 acres there that is
Yes.
very available for commercial property.
You have the storage shed.
But from the brook beside of Hannaford, where Hannaford
Right.
drops all their drain water,
Yep.
from there to the old Alfred Road, that is what I would consider wetlands. And over the years of living here in town, I've seen water go over 202 on a good spring morning when you get rain.
Yeah.
And the guy at the golf course, when he was in the planning board to get approval, I said, I'd build that building up at least to the height of 202. And, oh no, I've never seen water. About 3 years after we got that building in, it was underwater. He said, I wished I'd listened to you because that whole building is flooded 3 or 4 times since it was built.
Or you could drive golf balls from that platform and hit water when the ball lands, you can see it
I mean,
splash
the water
up.
table is right there in the field. I mean, as I say, I can dig it with a hand shovel.
Well, again, I mean, we're
So
at
that really, I mean, even if you head to north on the back side of that property and take in where the old racetrack was and all of that, the horse track, and
Southern Maine
that's
Realty.
not as wet, but it's still wet.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what Dwayne's saying. I mean, just because of the physical arrangement of that area.
It's not unbuildable by any means. 'Cause
Right.
You can haul 5 to 6 feet of fill in there and build that up to the height of 202, and you're gonna have a building.
Is
I
that
mean,
what the
you
diner
could-
had to do? Last in the past?
Yeah.
You could do something like this if you wanted to. and just, again, eliminate this for the time being. If somebody's gonna come in and has a way to develop, this large parcel here, we can amend that TIF down the road.
That
Yeah.
cost of development down 202, the building can be in the TIF zone, and the remaining land doesn't have to be in the TIF zone.
That's true.
To have a very big commercial building.
That's true.
That could be the size of Hannaford's or even bigger. 75 feet off the road, parking lot out back or whatever, but that building would fit on 202 with what I would call minimum fill. The storage unit, they
Right.
brought that up to the height of 202 because they'd done a little bit of water study and watched the water table, and that's why they brought that up, to keep that
Right.
on dry ground.
Yep, yep.
We put a building in there that was under TIF. They've got more land out back, but they didn't develop it, and they've got room enough to go almost again as big. And that was in their game plan when that came in.
Sure. Yep.
But that front side could be in the TIF.
Yes.
The
it
whole
could.
piece of, I don't know if you've got the whole piece of property, I didn't look real close there, but. I don't know if that
Where the
whole
storage
piece-
facility
Yeah.
is? Yes. Yes, we do.
So if they came back in, and that was a big game plan at the time, was to come back in, but that could be in the TIF zone. And he's got facilities enough there, land enough to have more
Yep.
of what he's doing or something else even.
So do we want to stay down as far as Strawmill Brook Road? We brought it down for a discussion tonight. I mean, do you think that's worth doing that at this point, or should we stay smaller?
I think we ought to start out small.
Yeah,
Start
I
out
think-
with something that's small,
because we can always amend and expand on the amendment, right?
Yes, you
and
can.
always create a second one if we had to.
I think it would be more valuable to do that area in North Waterboro at the intersection there.
Yeah.
Or to at least have some available? to-
Right.
Have more acreage and value available for.
Because that corner of it, look, has a lot of
The other thing
potential.
that, as I mentioned to Gary, and I guess you guys have now taken into it, we also have wellhead protection zones.
I looked
We have
at
to
that,
Kind of
yeah,
dance around here, but
yeah.
I don't know if that impacted it a lot.
The only way it would impact it, because this is just a line on the face of the earth, is where
Yep.
we're going to capture the value, would be if a
Depends on what they wanted
if we're
to do.
capturing acreage and value that's useless to the town. It just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
Your capital gain,
Yes.
I don't even think would go down 202. If you went, to the brook, behind Hannaford's, and then went up and down Route 5 in East Waterboro, you got more developable land for a TIF zone. Do we know? Probably not, whether Goodall's even gonna stay open, but that's a big developable piece of property right there that could be in a TIF. Dimitri's got a large piece.
Yeah, you got that, I think, on
Fabric's
your
got a
sheet.
piece.
I think your sheet there is wrong, Lee J. 'Cause
Chad
it's-
Bourne's
it's-
wrong?
Yeah, there's 4.6 acres, but there's another 16 acre parcel there too, that's
Is
all.
that the parcel
That's the
on
one
the
that
other
goes
side
all
of
the
the
way-
railroad tracks?
Railroad tracks.
Yeah, but it's more than 4 acres on,
I thought she
The
told
Route
me
5.
one time she had 28 acres there.
Be about right, because that, from that house, it goes up the hill and then it goes down the back side,
Well, it's out
goes all the way to,
back
all the way to the
brick
woods.
all the way, yeah, all the way to the railroad tracks. down
Right.
there.
So
And
are we
then-
are we talking this piece in here?
Yeah, but I think it's, what you have noted there is Chad
It looks
Bourne.
like to me.
Yep.
All right, the house has got to be on that piece of property. I'm not sure,
So Chad Bourne goes across the old railroad bed then?
Yeah.
yes.
So we just didn't capture that in this orange section then.
Well, on the tax map, they've got a 4.6 acre lot, and they've got a 0.9 acre lot, and they've got a 16 acre lot. My guess is that the house has been spun off onto a, so I guess I'd have to look at those deeds. I don't think that there was 3 lots there, but maybe. And maybe one of them
That
is,
might have been over the
it might have
years.
across the road too, right?
There's one across the road.
Right.
So,
But anyway, you have to dig
Two
it
would
up.
probably know. She's living in
Right.
Saco now.
Well, I think it's in Demetrius' name.
Dimitris, yeah.
I don't know if
Very easy to
the,
get
I
a
don't
hold
know if
of.
the 3 of them.
That's her sister, I think.
Right. I don't know if the 3 of them. And Peter is in Wells. He's. So.
So we wanna pull
Pull
this,
it back to number 49 on your map there,
pull it back to 49,
or would you like to?
or you wanna cut it off even shorter,
Yeah.
just to include 36 and 39,
Yep.
okay?
Yep.
And on behind what we have is Chadbourne, on the other side of the tracks, capture those 2 parcels that are there maybe? Is that the area you think?
Well, I'm not sure that you want to go back. I mean, certainly you can go beyond the what was the old
Well,
road track and
realistically, you could go across the railroad tracks you haven't got to, and as long as you got extra,
Yeah.
the landowner can say, hey, I got an abutted piece of property that ain't in
Yeah.
that. And we can.
I guess I would leave it the way that you got it for now. And then-
Okay, all right, but just cut this.
Right. The
Piece
only
off.
other suggestion I had is whether you go further east beyond the old railroad bed.
Along 202,
Right.
Yeah.
5, yeah, 202 and 5.
And
I
most of
would
that
almost
is,
say that wants to go down as far as Dearman's Pit, or down as far as the old
well, you got that parcel that,
Ford.
right across from Jellison Road that, what's his name owns?
Patco.
Patco owns.
And then you've got that housing development that's never been,
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Been
a
built.
nice
Right.
piece of property right there that.
Yeah, I've talked with someone about actually resurrecting that.
I'd much rather see that in the commercial property than
Yeah, the issue's
well,
been,
like,
the issue has been the
well,
building up,
subdivision.
the issue's been building the road out over the
Yeah. Right.
property.
Because the standards they were approved under are pretty outdated.
All right, so you got enough marching orders there,
I think so. I think so. We
Yes, it
can
is.
work with Gary. We'll make some adjustments
That-
in this and revise the numbers for you. So then,
Are you clear on, I'm not clear right now on how far east on 202 we should go.
I've got
Take a look at that. I mean, you might want to go down as far as
Or
Jellison
Dearborn's?
Road is what you're suggesting. That's where Pat
that
goes.
storage unit, and down on 202, storage unit on 202, I'd call the other one Route 5.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
Don't
So as far south on 202 is the
get down
storage
as far
units.
as the storage unit, maybe,
Okay.
on that side of the road.
Right.
The other side's all development now, anyway.
Well, the other side's also zoned residential and conservation.
Yeah.
And that was why we wanted to stay on the commercial side, the GP side. And then heading east on 5, for the sake of calling it that, we'll look at what we've got up to Jellison Road, which is where Patco owns property.
well, you've got
Chadbourne
one,
and the
two,
pit.
you got 2 commercial lots just over the railroad bed,
Yep,
all right?
the 2 that,
Which is currently occupied. You've got, up further, you've got the pawn shop and the deli,
yep,
There were Taronis.
okay?
In Abbott.
And then down below, just right directly across from the Jellison Road, Patco owned that property, and that was the property that Dollar General was looking at.
Yeah.
okay. All
They
right,
had an option on it. So,
we'll figure that out and go from there.
I would include that Ford Estates. On the
Ford
right-hand
I don't know
side,
what it's, what is it called now? It is Ford Pond.
Ford Pond.
Ford
yeah.
Pond. I never knew
But I
that they
wouldn't
called that
bother
pond Ford
to
Pond.
include Dearborn's Pit at this time.
Okay. You don't
Yeah,
want to
that's-
include Dearborn's.
No,
It could be a
because
swimming.
if he was to come in, or somebody was to come in and develop that, right now it's
Be a lake.
undevelopable, so,
It's a lake.
Be a lake.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I would call that more recreation property at this point.
The only thing I would say about that, I hear what you're saying, is that where it is an active gravel pit, there's value there.
Oh, without a doubt. That may be our next pond.
It might
It
be,
could be the water.
it might be, but in the meantime, there's gravel to be had there, which makes it,
Do we have any idea of the present
This-
usage, how many more
Let's
years
put
they
it,
got?
let's make, I want to make it very clear. There is no gravel in that
Okay.
pit. There is all kinds of ledge,
okay.
and it really looks like a
And so
quarry
they
now.
do a lot of
You know, 'cause
crushing
so
and stuff.
They blast everything and then they crush it.
That's fine. I hear you. All right, we'll make some adjustments and come back with revised numbers for you.
Okay.
Thanks to Tammy for doing the Excel spreadsheet here
Yes,
with the level of
she put a
detail.
lot of work into that,
Yep.
definitely. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, EJ.
Okay, let's jump back to item I under new business. Gordon?
Yeah, I had a businessman in town approach me, and he also owns property out of town. And he was saying that he had a suggestion for getting the town to promote recycling more. And his suggestion was to rename the transfer station to the recycling station. And his rationale for that was that that creates the mindset in the townspeople to recycle. And secondly, a lot of people don't know what transfer, means. So it's for new residents coming into town, they're kind of, a little bit of a loss as, to the meeting on that. And he suggested transfer station rather than recycling station rather than recycling center, because I guess when you do Googles or queries, that if you do that, you end up getting recycling centers for bottles, bottle redemption centers, and auto parts that recycle, that. So that's why he suggested keeping it as recycling station, and to put signage up down there that says that, so when people driving by every day, they constantly seeing that recycling, and it reinforces that, because there's a lot of money to be saved by the town in getting people to recycle. So I told him I would bring this up for discussion before the board.
Hey, Gordon, just a note, we've called it the transfer and recycling station on the website for many years. I don't know, maybe it's not listed that way over there, but that is how we have it.
I just saw it on the thing, transfer station recycling.
Yeah, transfer and recycling.
Yeah, I think, probably we could talk about it, and there's not an active transfer station recycling committee at this point, but there's certainly enough people that have served on that to get input from them to determine whether or not they'd like to see it as a recycling center rather than, or a recycling station rather than a transfer, and that's just a matter of, we call it anything that we want ultimately, but it probably does make sense if you people say, yeah, take that stuff to the recycling center, right? Because there's not just recycling of household waste there's recycling of a whole bunch of stuff. We do.
It's pretty much all
the wood,
recycled, really.
everything. So it really is, reaches much, much further than just single sort recycling.
I'm just wondering, I mean, let's bring this up, we can make it complicated or not. I would be interested in the people that might vote on this, the 5 of us, if there's anybody that wants to, that would say, to make a, that would want to have it remain the transfer station rather than changing it to recycling station. Is there any,
No, my only
Is there any
emotional connection has always been just to call it the dump. But,
I was gonna say,
but we're way beyond that now.
I'm from the old school, and it's always gonna be the dump, no matter what.
I'm just,
Go to the dump.
we can go on and on and on about this, so we can say, hey, this sounds like a great idea, let's do something about it.
I think
And
it
what
is.
do we do?
Yeah, I think it is a great idea.
But, so I'm just
Yep.
interested, is there anybody against it?
No,
I'm
I'm
not
not
against
opposed to it.
I'm not, I wouldn't.
Let's poke it, Clint a little bit. I'm sure he has an opinion, and maybe Gary can get with him, and we'll stick it on the next agenda to
Good.
do it.
I'm sitting there reminiscing with Bob Fay, and I promised him that I would get a sign made up to go on that building that Clint's in, dedicating that to Clint and Dorothy Wakefield, and I have never done it. And that's going to be on my agenda because I promised 12
You
years
need that in the
ago.
form of a motion?
No, I'm going to get it done. I've been looking for a picture and I can't find anything in the family album that was Clint and Dorothy.
That's right, you found that building, right?
Yeah.
What's it in there?
Okay, we'll put it on the next agenda. All right, preparation for the June 2017 referendum on whether or not to eliminate town meeting. So the first step was done tonight. We accepted the petition. The real question now is what do we because we as a board have to push this to and market this change. So how do we want to do that other than, I think it probably would make,
2 or 3 public hearings.
right, I think we need some public hearings. I think we need to put certainly some ads in both papers and in the municipality and see what we can come up with.
I would like to try maybe some type of a luncheon or like what the 2020 group did, either at the church or Grange Hall, something with a light lunch
Yep.
at some point, end of April.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it the end of April because I'm off on vacation. So.
Okay.
Just talk to people.
But no, middle of 1st of May or something like that, on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning. Now,
Well,
an hour and a half.
I think the reason we kind of brought it up 2 weeks ago and we'll continue having it on the agenda is it's up to us to market this,
Yeah.
right? So we're the ones that took the initiatives. It's per the charter, and I think we need to convince people that I
Maybe
think
we give
we've
this some thought and in 2 weeks, completely put some dates on it that we're gonna have a public
Yep.
hearing and, I think we ought to have 3
and I think we ought to
probably,
get Patrick involved again over at
I was gonna say the cable company.
the cable company and do a small PSA and
Yeah, I personally don't have a strong feeling one way or the other on this. However, my strongest feeling is getting the public educated as to what it really means, what are some of the positives and negatives on both sides.
I don't have a problem running an ad, Budget Saver, Waterboro Reporter, wherever, out of my own pocket to advertise that this is your chance to change the town meeting or hold it the way it is, and it's up to you residents to get out and vote yea and nay.
Yep.
Well, don't you think that should be from the board?
The
Yeah,
board, but even, as I say, I don't mind doing it myself as a select man, and then if the rest, as the selectmen want to do it, but at least get some advertisement out that this is going to the,
Yeah, it might be,
Out of-
you know,
out of 5,000 that we had vote, 4,000, 4,500, whatever it was, 1,000 of it signed the petition. Yeah, I think this is a great idea, and they probably forgot about it by now, and some of them had no idea what they was even signing, so. there
I think it would
needs to
be
some
also good to
education.
take, you know, maybe we could convince certain reporters to maybe do a little story on the background of those kind of things. Did you do something after we did the petition, or?
Yeah, I did. I did something when you were thinking about doing the petition,
Yeah.
and I did something when you did the petition and what the results were, and
She's
I
mo-
can't imagine in the lead up to.
she's more than willing to do it on Monday.
What?
Online.
I mean, I'm sure, I know I'll be writing about it, and I can't imagine that the other newspaper will be writing about it too. I mean, that's what we do.
All right, so Gary and I will put together a schedule of potential public hearings, because we're gonna have to weave in the public hearing for the town meeting anyway, right?
Well, if we're going to put that dry town on, I would recommend doing it the same night.
Okay, so
We'd probably
So
have at
we'll
least
take a vote
two
next-
hearings on
next-
that.
Get some attendance.
next meeting, we'll take a vote on whether or not we're gonna have a referendum or how that referendum should read.
Do you want me to draft up a list of things and circulate it to you folks for your feedback on reasons of why we're doing this?
Yeah.
Get-
That'll work. Okay? Okay, item 11, other discussion vote to approve the minutes of February 28th regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
I'm gonna
Motion
write
carries.
stuff on the table. That's too much.
Pending decisions, Sherry, why don't you put, under pending decisions, move preparation for the June 2017 referendum down under that. That'll keep it on here until we're done with it. And then week's action list, I think Gary's got his sheet all filled out here. Agenda items, we're gonna bring back a couple of things. Transfer station / recycling station, and discussion on public hearings, and a vote to talk about dry or not, to be dry or not to be dry.
How about the ATV ordinance?
Pardon?
How about the ATV?
ATV ordinance, we need to, come to grips with. I know that kind of pulled that together. It's interesting, some of the comments I think were. But anyway, we need to either do something or not do something.
Well, Todd is going to get back to me middle to late March with a list of prioritized roads, if you will. And he had a meeting scheduled with Ridge yesterday, but wasn't able to make it. So we need a little more time, I guess, to get those things together.
I'm just thinking that it's coming up.
Yep.
Yep.
Anything else for next week, next meeting? Sensing none, Dave, you're gonna scroll the announcements. And I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
7:54 p.m.